Ulloa. I'm here in Los Angeles, California, and one of my video blogs is about interviewing people that have done fascinating things around the world, whether it's inspiring somebody or touching somebody's life or maybe accomplishing something that's never been accomplished in their family. And so my very first one is about interviewing somebody that I know very deeply and intimately, the love of my life, my business partner, my husband, my best friend. 14 years, going on 2, and we have recreated, redesigned our marriage. And so, what I wanted to do is interview fascinating people around the world. And Dave just got back. He has this raw, amazing energy from conquering the highest standing free mountain in the world, and that's Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania, Africa. So, Dave, I just wanted to share with everybody around the world just how do you feel after accomplishing such a big task?
I'm still recovering from just the emotional experience of climbing Mount Kilimanjaro. It was a goal that I set about 12 years ago, and the invitation came from a good friend, Matt Morris, a couple of months ago, and because it was on my list, I decided to go. I really had no idea what to expect other than I knew it was going to be tough emotionally, physically, mentally, and even spiritually. And words can't even describe how I feel having accomplished a goal that I set that's been on my bucket list for years.
So you were gone for 1/3 of the month. You were trekking up for a few days. You guys had guides. You guys were out in the raw weather. You were hiking at Arctic temperatures. I was following some of your itinerary. I was blown away. And you have never camped before. You're a city boy. How was that physical experience for other people that want to climb Kilimanjaro?
I knew that this experience was going to stretch me because I'm not the outdoors type of person. Like I said, grew up in New York and Los Angeles, so being in the city, I've never camped outdoors. And so the fact that I was in a two-man tent, we trekked for 6 days. So the total I was gone for 10 days, but we were trekking for 6 days. And they had told us that most groups, we went with 14 people from 6 different countries around the world, and they say most people that do a 6-day trek up to Mount Kilimanjaro, is a 60% make it to the top and 40% don't because of being out in the cold. Maybe they get altitude mountain sickness, which is kind of like having pneumonia. And so physically, people are walking for hours and hours and hours, 5 to 7 hours every day, 7 to 10 miles a day. And literally the last day, we woke up at 11:30 p.m. to climb for 8 hours to hit the summit, and then another several hours to get back. So it was extremely challenging.
And not to mention the altitude, which was at the highest 19,000.
Yeah.
Tell me about when you guys, 1 mile closest to the summit, what was going on in you guys' head? You 14 men, leaders from all over the world, 6 countries, I believe. What were you experiencing that final mile before you got to the top?
Yeah, it was pretty amazing because all 14 males are alpha males, which means they are very driven, very certain, all about leadership. And so for us to come together, I was pretty shocked that we meshed really well and we got to had great conversations and there was no ego involved. It was even though we were from 6 different countries, 14 different men, we had one goal and one dream, which was to conquer Mount Kilimanjaro. So the fact that we were walking up the mountain, cold as heck, freezing, the altitude, it was hard to breathe. Mentally, for me personally, I almost fainted a couple of times climbing this mountain, and it's like it just never ended. So close to about 8 o'clock in the morning, we started hitting close to the mountain, to the top of Kilimanjaro. And so finally, there was a few that had to stay back a little bit and with a guide because physically they just couldn't go anymore at the pace that some of us were going. So the group of us, about 11, 12 of us, actually stayed together, made it up to the top. And when we got to the top, we were just so emotionally and physically drained. And what we had just gone through as a team, we literally started hugging and crying at the top. These are grown men, and we started crying because we knew what we went through in order to get there. And then maybe an hour, a half hour later, the other two came up. So the 14 of us actually accomplished it, and the guides were super impressed that 100% of us actually made it to the top.
Which is very rare because on average only 60% ever make it to the summit because of the altitude, the sickness, and you guys were so mentally focused. What would you say to our friends around the world about conquering maybe some of their biggest challenge in life? Many of us have gone through illness or death in the family or something extraneous. What would you say to them?
I'll tell you what got me through the experience. There was one time I'll remember that I felt so physically beat up. We hardly got any sleep the night before. We weren't eating very well. And so physically, my body was so drained, and mentally, I started having those excuses and those reasons in my mind. But there was one specific time where I was just so tired. I wanted to lay on the rock and just go back home. And I remember telling myself, just focus on taking one step. Just focus on taking one step forward. And so when I started focusing on that, it was one step, then the next step, just one step forward. And so what I would recommend, if you're hitting or facing a challenge right now, what's one step that you can take right now to get you closer to your goal, to get you closer to your mission? And that one step can be something so simple. It could be doing some research on accomplishing your goal. It'd be going to read a book or learning from somebody or making one phone call. It could be one simple thing that could be one step. And then the next thing that I realized is that one step was good, but if you want to take it to the next level, is as I took one step, that one step, sometimes I slid and my leg was a little off balance, or it was kind of weak. So I almost fell a couple of times. And so the next conversation that I had with myself is take one step with purpose. One step with purpose, with so much certainty. And every time I took that one step with purpose, it's like I grounded it and I owned that next step where I felt so much more powerful. So how can you take your next step with so much purpose, so much certainty that you own it, that the people around you are like, this person is going to do what they set out because they have so much purpose and so much certainty behind it.
That is so beautiful. Steps on purpose, life on purpose. Design your life on purpose. Don't just react to life. That is so beautiful, Dave. And let's go to the fun facts. Tell us a couple words that you learned while you were hiking up from the guides.
Yeah, so in Africa, Tanzania, they speak Swahili. And wherever I go around the world, I love to learn a few words just so I can experience it and have fun with the people that live there. So Swahili, one of the words is jumbo. So everywhere we went, jumbo, jumbo, jumbo means hello in Swahili. Poa means okay, and asante means thank you, and karibu means you're welcome. So those are just a few of the words that I learned in Swahili.
And what about slow down?
Oh yeah, slow down is one of the most important in order to get to the top. And slow down means you say pole, pole, pole. And pole means to slow down, take it easy.
Sometimes we're going so rushed through our goals that we forget to slow down. And we forget to pause and breathe and be present. Sometimes the gifts of the journey are in the present. So remember, pole, pole, pole. So my friends, enjoy your journey around the world. We hope that if you enjoyed this video, that you share it with your friends and family. We are all about sharing and helping people get to the next peak or the mountain in their life. I know that our goals, it always says, living at the summit. And you reached one of your big summits. I really honor you. I love you. And I can't wait to see you journey through life through this amazing adventure. I love you, baby.
I love you too. Yeah. And thank you so much for doing this to inspire other people around the world to go for their dreams and goals. So thank you.
Thank you. Karibu. We'll see you on another episode.
Asante.